Hi there, I'm Elias Sipka, and this is the Apatros Review. Now, in this episode, we'll take a look at this, The Final Comedown, a 1972 blaxploitation social activism movie, directed by and written by Oscar Williams, based on the play We Own Tonight by Jimmy Garrett, and produced by Roger Corman and Oscar Williams. And it stars Billy D. Williams, over here, D'Urville Martin, Celia Milius, Ed Cambridge, Billy Durkin, Morris D. Irby, Pamela Jones, and R.G. Armstrong. By the way, I've been battling a cold for the past few days. Now, the DVD comes from Payless Entertainment, pretty much the leader in dirt cheap DVDs in Australia. And, well, it's multi-region. It's a cheap disc, only about $2, $1 depending where you shop at the time. Now, it's of course been out of print for a long time, and this is actually one of Payless' earlier discs. And the thing is, it's multi-regional, so you can play this on any DVD player in the world, as long as your TV says PAL compatible. And there is a glitch on this disc, which I'll talk about later. Now, by the point you start hearing this, you'll be aware that I'm reviewing here this 1972 blaxploitation social activism flick, The Final Comedown, a rather cheap and dirty example of that revered 1970s genre produced by Roger Corman, who personally put up $15,000 of the movie's roughly $23,500 production budget himself, and starring a young Billy D. Williams as a protagonist. For those who have already seen the film for themselves, they might be wondering why I'm giving such a shitty film a C, 4 out of 10, marking this as an average film in my books, instead of something in the D spectrum of grading ladder. Well, the answer is that while The Final Comedown is an extremely crude and clumsy tale of a young radicalized black activist who turns to violence to avenge what he perceives as systemic racism by the man, triggering a real riot of a street war between his gang of radical black nationalists and a battalion of revolver and shotgun wielding police officers to which the cops win the day, while a small group of left-wing hippie idealists, including the protagonist's white girlfriend, attempt to intervene only to get their asses shot dead by the cops. Well, the reason I'm giving this a C is because it is an extremely crude and clumsy tale of a young radicalized black activist who turns to violence to avenge what he perceives as systemic racism by the man, triggering a real riot of a street war between his gang of radical black nationalists and a battalion of revolver and shotgun wielding police officers to which the cops win the day, while a small group of left-wing hippie idealists, including the protagonist's white girlfriend, attempt to intervene only to get their asses shot dead by the cops, thus making it applicable to the BLM riots and the hypocritical defund of the police movement. What's the old saying again? Oh yeah, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Or to put it in a more crude manner, same shit, different day. As our misguided protagonist, Johnny Johnson, played by Billy D. Williams, at least 8 years away from becoming Lando Calrissian in The Empire Strikes Back. By the way, when I was in high school, I used to mispronounce Lando's surname as Calrissian. As a recurring earworm back when I was in my high school. Don't worry, the earworm corrected itself when my high school librarian educated me about it. Now, Johnny Johnson is so radicalized about what the snowflakes of today call social justice that he joins a gang of black revolutionaries. In other words, he becomes a domestic terrorist. And even with his rather dense in the head white girlfriend and her brother and friends joining his cause of a more peaceful modus operandi, the moment the street war erupts, Johnny very quickly realizes that when you attempt to kick the man in his balls, he'll send over the fuzz to blow your balls off. As a matter of fact, the majority of the film is actually a very long flashback that occurs when Johnny is shot in the stomach when the street war is well underway. As he lays up against the wall, dying from his wound, while his poor mother is telling him off for being a radical idiot, and his girlfriend and his stupid friends trying to intervene when they have no moral leverage. The film ends with practically the entire gang of black radicals getting their asses shoved. There is actually a pretty darkly funny scene where a radical bursts through a door, guns down a couple of cops, and gives a thankful prayer to the Lord for making the doors in the ghetto so flimsy. A few moments later, he gets shot down by a eventual cop, and the cops giving the white idiots in Johnny an ultimatum: either come out with your hands up, and we'll burst in. Don't expect any mercy. You killed enough of us, so we're itching to sell score of you radical sons of bitches. Okay, so that isn't quite what they said, but the meaning is translated that way. The cops burst in and start firing. The writing for this film feels like one of the BLM members went back in time and wrote a script for Roger Corman. In reality, director Oscar Williams adapted a stage play, and the heavy-handed social commentary is so inept that you'll be getting angry as the film goes on. While being about as subtle as somebody using a sledgehammer for a hockey stick and your crotch as a hockey puck. The acting is, in a word, embarrassing, as very few people here seem to understand how to get the message across, while the film has all the bad quirks of blaxploitation cheapies. For example, featuring tediously staged and ridiculously chaste sex scenes where you don't see any female naughty bits. So this film is at least a contender for the D spectrum. So why the C? Well, this film's twisted worldview, to take a detour into the murky world of contemporary politics, is exactly what is going on today in America, as well as the sticky, slivery fingers of socialism and communism extending out around the world at the same time. When the cult of 2017, in other words the woke cult, started their agenda, forcing Hollywood to cast minorities in every single movie and TV show, no matter how incompatible they are with the script, as well as forcing various companies to change long-established brand names with worldwide recognition because of perceived racism, and viewing just about everything in the Western world through the lens of racism, thus exposing this cult of brainwashed young socialist radicals as the real racists, while their cancel culture stormtroopers hunt down anyone with a different viewpoint to them, while left-wing politicians gradually take over whole countries and do nothing but shut down people's lives in the name of keeping them safe, while going on the diplomatic circuit and virtue signaling while their people suffer, as the pathetically demented US President Joe Biden and his completely dense as led Vice President Kamala Harris, who seems to be on some seriously heavy psychotropic drugs, given the ridiculously stupid statements she gives, as well as her seriously off-putting hyena cackle, while Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau freezes the bank accounts of all his opponents while running a police state, while New Zealand suffers a similar fate, and while here in Australia the Labour Party once again to power, when their top female members have been accused of serious bullying against a conservative female colleague, while their leader proves himself to be a spineless coward unable to take action. I'm talking about Anthony Albanese here. All of this really kicked off when a criminal who I will not name here was turned into a saint and buried within a solid gold casket. I really hope somebody digs up that coffin and sells the gold in it, by the BLM gang, who were formed by trained Marxists, to use their very own words, who caused rioting in the streets and claiming them to be peaceful protesters. Yeah, as if. Stealing wholesale from stores, that burning them down and bashing any store owner who tries to protect their property, painting anybody who defends themselves against these domestic terrorists and murderers, which the courts prove was just self-defense, and goes on and on. Well, this movie shows what dubious good that will do, but in a relative context all the way back in 1972. Watch the movie carefully with today's events in mind and you will see exactly what I mean. So, for that purpose, instead I've elevated to an average movie at best. It's not a good movie, it's pretty badly made, but it's pretty relevant for today's standards. Oh, and I have a message for those Democrats who are really running the USA. Stop mixing Kamala Harris's daily vodka with crystal meth. That shit's a real brain killer. Now, if I go nudity, not that much of either outside cheap 1970s stage plot resembling melted crayons and only a brief boob peek. Now for the DVD. And by the way, the film gets a C, 4 out of 10 in case you haven't noticed. Meaning it's average. Now for the DVD. Believe it or not, but my late father actually owned a copy of this film on VHS, when a friend of his who owned a video store back in 1992 gave him about 100 videotapes, most of which were CBS Fox tapes. And this film was released on Australian VHS by Summit International, a company that was very obscure, and which had a bizarre habit of reusing their covers by printing a completely different movie cover on the opposite side of the slick. Quality wasn't very good with some international tapes, and after my father's death I ditched that tape. But I did find this cheap DVD from none other than Payless Entertainment, the leader in bargain basement DVD entertainment. The quality on the disc is taken off an aged VHS or an older film reel, but I definitely remember the Summit tape having worse quality than this. This film also appears to be in the public domain, so I don't think we'll be seeing any collector's edition versions of this film by any specialist boutique labels anytime soon. And there are no extras. Now I should point out that there is a glitch on this disc, where as soon as reaching the end of chapter 5, about 1 hour and 7 minutes and 37 seconds into the film, the DVD interrupts the film, returning to the chapter submenu. Once that happens, you need to select the option labeled chapter 5, which is actually chapter 6 but they're mislabeled, to return to the film at the exact moment the interruption occurred. There's a little thing to it. In my next episode, I'll do a Apatros icon, and I'll pretty much show that, demonstrate that glitch. Okay, that's it for that review. I've tried to do this video quite a few times, but I was coughing up a lung. Sorry about that. Okay, I hope you guys are staying safe, take it easy, and hope for those Democrats, stop mixing Kamala Harris's vodka of crystal meth. Enjoy yourselves, take it easy.